First item on the agenda would be consider the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. Those minutes were presented to you in board pack. Do we have any questions or comments on the minutes from the Common Council meeting of May 12th?
Motion to approve.
A motion by Bounds to approve.
I'll second it.
Second by Kissling. Roll call, please.
Kissling.
Aye.
Bounds.
Aye.
McFerrin. Dubon.
He said aye. Full motion. I can't hear.
Ware.
Aye.
Jose, we cannot hear you. I don't know if your microphone is up, but I did see the motion. Any other questions? The next item on the docket would be approval of the docket, the approval of claims from 5/20 for this meeting. Any questions are on the claims from for this meeting? Not, I would entertain a motion to approve the claims as presented.
Make that motion.
Motion by Ware, seconded by Kissling. Vote, please.
Kissling.
Aye.
Bounds.
Aye.
McFerrin. Dubon.
Aye.
Ware.
Aye.
4 ayes, 1 absent.
4 ayes, the claims are hereby approved. This is the time and place that we have advertised for a public hearing on the City of Huntingburg's wastewater treatment plan funding application. Teresa Chris Hartwig from Commonwealth Engineering is here with us to discuss this public hearing. As part of this, the public is viewing right now. If you would like to make a comment about this application, we'll repeat this address. You can do so by submitting an email to cityhall@huntingburg-in.gov and place public comment in the subject line. These comments will be accepted for the next 24 hours, and all comments will be responded to and will become part of the record of submission for the application. Again, that address is cityhall@huntingburg-in.gov, and please place public comment in the subject line. At this point, we'd like to turn it over to Teresa. You have to unmute, please.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes.
So the purpose of the public hearing is to notify the public that the city intends to submit an application to USDA Rural Development for funding for improvements to the wastewater treatment plant. The sign-in sheet, the minutes from this meeting, and the publisher's affidavit will be part of the application. And in addition, like the mayor said, any comments that we receive in writing, we will address and also include those as part of our application. If it's okay with the council, I'll give a brief overview of the project. That way I know you guys know it very well, but that way the public can hear it as well. So Commonwealth Engineers was hired to prepare a preliminary engineering report to evaluate the present conditions and future needs of the City of Huntingburg's existing wastewater treatment plant. We looked at the plant's 2016 through 2019 MROs to examine with respect to the treatment capacity. On a monthly basis, the treatment plant is reliably meeting the NPDES permit limits. However, the wastewater treatment plant is currently operating in overloaded conditions. The wastewater treatment plant was designed at an average flow of 1.114 MGD and a peak design flow of 2 MGD. The current daily average flow is 1.417 MGD and the maximum average daily flow is 2.645 MGD. So the wastewater treatment plant is not able to treat the maximum monthly average. So in an effort to address those issues, Commonwealth Engineers looked at numerous alternatives to address the issues and is recommending the following project: to construct a new headworks screening facility, construct a new 4-tank sequencing batch reactor, SBR, replace existing chlorine disinfection with UV system, construct cascade aeration, and other miscellaneous improvements, including a new emergency generator and sludge bed roof. As far as the funding of this project, the application to rural development is for the loan portion of this project, with the expectation of also submitting an application to the Economic Development Administration for a grant in at least $3 million. We hope for more, but that is the least that we're expecting. As far as the project cost, including construction and non-construction cost, The total project cost is $19,767,100. And the timeline for the project is we plan to submit this application to rural development by the end of June 30th and receive a letter of conditions from rural development by July 31st. It is a plan to advertise the bids in November of 2021 and then start construction in April 2022 and complete construction October 1st, 2023. With that, that's an overview of the recommended projects that will be submitted to RD, the budget, and the timeline, and then we'll turn it over to the public for any questions they may have.
We have, again, the public has a right to ask questions on this, and then through the terms that we have, we ask that if you do have questions, you can submit them through an email address at cityhall@huntingburg-in.gov and place public comment in the subject line. If there are none received in the short time that we have here, they will be accepted for the next 24 hours. All comments that will be that we receive to that email address will be responded to and will become part of the record for submission for the application. So we're checking the email right now. We have not seen an email come up to that address at this time. Do the council have any questions or comments concerning this application? I hear no comments from the council. So Teresa, our next action would be to close the hearing.
That is correct.
Okay, do I have a motion to close the hearing? Motion by Kisling,
Much second.
second by Dubon. To vote for closing the hearing.
Kissling,
Aye.
Bounds,
Aye.
McFerrin, Dubon, Ware,
Aye.
4 ayes, no nays.
The public hearing is hereby closed and the application will be submitted. Is that correct, Teresa?
That is correct.
Okay, but we will again receive comment for another 24 hours through email matters. And if anybody wants to send that in, again, it's cityhall@huntingburg-in.gov. And please place public comment in the subject line. And once those are received, we will include those in the public record. Anything else, Teresa, that we need to do in this matter?
Not tonight, no.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate your work.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa.
Next on the agenda would be to consider an ordinance authorizing a loan from the Electric Cash Reserve Fund to the municipal wastewater utility. That ordinance has been placed in your packet as well. As you recall, a few years back, we did a similar loan, and that term is coming due, and we need to do a refinancing. And this is in conjunction with the project that we just mentioned with the wastewater project. And Tom, is that pretty well the summary of what we have, and what more can we?
Yeah, it's a little bit less this time. It's about, I think it's $1,168,000. What was $1,004,000 the last time?
Right. And this is again, when you make a transfer from, you could do this loan from one utility to another. Is that correct, Mr. Schneider?
That's correct. Not to exceed 5 years.
So we have before us an ordinance allowing that transfer, and the amount is $1,168,000. Any questions from the council concerning ordinance that is being proposed? If not, we need an ordinance number.
2020-12.
This is ordinance number 2020-12. Do I have a motion to introduce ordinance 2020-12?
Motion made.
Motion by Bounds,
I'll second.
second by Ware. A vote, please.
Kissling,
Aye.
Bounds,
Aye.
Barron, Dubon,
Aye.
Ware,
Aye.
4 ayes, no nays.
4 ayes, no nays. The ordinance is hereby introduced. We can consider this ordinance for adoption on the same evening it was introduced if there is unanimous consent to do so. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules and consider ordinance number 2020-12 on the night it was introduced? Need a motion, please. Motion by Kisling,
Much second.
second by Dubon. Vote, please.
Kissling,
Aye.
Bounds,
Aye.
McFerrin, Dubon,
Aye.
Ware,
Aye.
4 ayes, no nays.
There is unanimous consent to do so, and now we consider ordinance number 2020-12 An ordinance authorizing a loan from the Electric Cash Reserve Fund to the municipal wastewater utility for final adoption. Do I have a motion for adoption?
Motion made.
Motion by Ware to adopt,
I'll second it.
second by Bounds. Vote, please.
Kissling,
Aye.
Bounds,
Aye.
McFerrin, Dubon,
Aye.
Ware,
Aye.
4 ayes, no nays.
4 ayes, no nays. Ordinance number 2012 is hereby adopted. Next on the agenda would be consider a resolution for authorizing funds for the Northside Park grant. The city of Huntingburg is applying with the Indiana Department of Natural Resources, the Division of Outdoor Recreation, for a grant from the United States Department of Interior federal funds, the Land and Water Conservation Program. The proposal is for improvements to the Northside Park, where we have some construction going on right now. The improvements would include a walking and bicycling path that is 8 feet wide and around 1,500 feet long, on-site parking, an accessible playground, benches, bicycle racks, and a fishing pier in that area. The total grant project is estimated to be about $500,000. The Land and Water Conservation Fund grant is for half that amount, $250,000. So the local share would be around $250,000. As part of the match, in-kind is allowed. The resolution that before the council tonight, the city would commit to $115,000 in cash. Of that, $50,000 would come from edit and $65,000 from funds already secured in the Du Bois County Community Foundation dedicated to this project. The park budget would have an amount of $773,401. This would be spread over both 2020 and 2021. And there would be in-kind contributions from both the park and street department for concrete work on the walking path, on the parking lot, and on the cornhole concrete structure. There would be a contribution from the city electric department of $17,500 for solar park lighting, and then various donations of around $4,000 for benches and bicycle racks as part of it. If awarded, the timeline of this grant would be September 2020 for state approval, March of 2021 for federal approval. The project would go to bid in the summer of 2021, and the construction would begin in fall of 2021 with construction completed in the fall of 2022. So again, the park board considered this same project at their meeting last week and has approved their portion of the funding. There are funds on hand in the park department right now for much of this, and once we determine what the grant funds are, we will be able to correct or put the right amount in the 2021 budget for both the street department and the parks department to make this project happen. This was a grant that we may not have sought before, but after seeking encouragement from DNR, a chance to double our money on this project. It's a plan that we've had. As you've seen the Northside Park start to blossom there, with the basketball court now being constructed and part of the walking path is there. The critical part is that playground, and it to be a totally accessible playground. And we believe that with the funds that are available and the support that we've had, that this was a very good project to move forward with. Do we have any questions from the council on the project or the resolution that will be passing in order to apply for that grant?
Here, I have a question.
Yes.
The fishing pier, is that on what used to be the retaining pond there, or has that been turned into a lake?
Yes, we did. We examined the application form for the grant, and there's a lot of good scoring if you have a water feature. We checked with DNR to whether or not that facility would be acceptable to fish. The DNR inspector from I think from Pike County came down, did an inspection, and said it was a feature that could be used for fishing. And in fact, the DNR would be willing to stock the fish should that go ahead. Part of the project that will happen should we move ahead, is the slope to that retention pond right now is not a very good slope for access by the public. So there will be work to grade that slope to a better grade for public access. And part of the plan also with that is to limit some access by putting the appropriate grasses and growths along the edge of the bank, which would also gain us points for the proper drainage and also for proper filtering of water as it flows from the ground into the lake. So all the features that are part around that lake enhances that lake and makes it accessible to the public and gains points on the application. So it was the park board, our engineering teams, all went through the application, and after confirmation from DNR that indeed it would be a stockable lake, we proceeded with that pier.
Okay, good. It's great.
Any other questions?
Just a quick comment. I'm a big fan. We were out there through that neighborhood, all throughout the north side of town there, and that is a booming area. You see a lot of people out and about, a lot of new homes going up, the homes in Hunter's Crossing, and I think this is a much needed project, and I'm excited to see it moving forward.
And with the design, it's also accessible off of 19th Street to the homes and in the divisions just north of that. So there's access from a couple of different areas, and I think it'll be a great enhancement. And this is one of the things that's in the comprehensive plan that was just approved, is development of a park on the north side for the residentials in that area. So with that, if there are no further questions, this would be resolution 13.
2013.
So we have before us resolution 2020-13, a resolution of the Huntingburg City Council authorizing the submittal of a land and water conservation fund grant application to the Indiana Department of Natural Resources and addressing related matters to the local share commitment. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2020-13?
I'll make that
Motion made.
motion.
Motion by Bounds,
I'll second it.
second by Ware. Vote, please.
Kinsler.
Aye.
Bounds.
Aye.
Barrett. Dubon.
Aye.
Ware.
Aye.
4 ayes, no nays.
4 ayes, no nays. Resolution 2020-13 is hereby adopted. Next up, we have a review of the IMPA abatement compliance forms. IMPA received tax abatement from the city of Huntingburg for the solar park that was constructed on the north side. And Planning Director Paul Lake is here, and this is an annual process by which this application is reviewed. And Paul has reviewed the compliance forms, which you have, and I would just like to report on that process. So, Paul.
Yes, as Mayor indicated, back in 2016, the city of Huntingburg approved the personal property tax abatement to IMPA. As a part of being eligible to receive the deductions, it requires the city to review the benefits as promised at the time of abatement approval to make sure that the company is meeting those expectations. In this case, looking at the compliance form 1 for utility distribution, they've actually exceeded slightly their approved investment. Not all of it was capitalized or abatable, but the investment at the property is actually over $3 million. Everything is in line with what they promised us, and they've not deviated from that. And it's comparable to the CF1, which was reviewed and approved by the council in 2019. If it's approved tonight by the council, what will happen is it will be forwarded to the county auditor, and it's essentially required to be in place before she can approve the personal property deductions that they're claiming.
Any questions on the report by Paul concerning the application?
Well, the action would be for the council to find that they are in compliance.
Right,
That is correct.
right. Do we have questions about the report? If there are none, I would accept a motion to find that indicates that that IMPA is in compliance with the terms of the tax abatement agreement. Do we have a motion to that effect? Motion by Kinsler,
Second it.
second by Ware. Vote, please.
Kissling,
Aye.
Bounds,
Aye.
McFerrin, Dubon,
Aye.
Ware,
Aye.
4 ayes, no nays.
The property is in substantial compliance, and the form will be signed and delivered to the county for their processing. Thank you, Paul.
All right, thank you very much.
In this time where we have so many things that we are working on and struggling with, there's always a chance for some good news. And I'm happy to report. I'm going to call Fire Chief Scott Patberg forward at this time to issue a report. All of you know that we were a part of a review of our fire rating and safety, and I'm going to just let the fire chief report to you on the findings of that report. So, Scott, thank you.
Both the mayor said ISO, they were here in January. We spent the better part of the day. They go over information from our water department and from the fire department. On an earlier date, they look at the Du Bois County Communications Center. So anyway, we've got that report back, and the fire ratings are from 1 to 10, 1 being the best, 10 the bottom. And in 2014 until the present, until now, we were a 5/5X. And as of August 1st, 2020, our classification will become a 4/4X. So we've improved 1 fire classification. Indiana right now has 3 class 1 fire departments. They have 26 2s and 40 3s. And there are 140 class 4 fire departments in Indiana, and most of those are full-time departments. I was trying to get a number on the number of volunteers departments that have this classification, but I haven't been able to get that yet. Hopefully, maybe in the future I'll know. But it's pretty happy that we've reached that. That probably puts us in somewhere in the top 8 to 10% of fire departments in the state of Indiana. So it's pretty exciting to get that.
And it's more than an internal thing. It's a great achievement, but there's a related benefit to the community because of this, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It's what they're doing, what they're looking at is, the insurance company looks at this ISO rating, and that's where they use that to set rates and adjust rates and for insurances on everybody, homeowners all the way to businesses. So, the better your classification, it should help people's insurance, for protection.
There were a lot of factors, and we have Gary Meyerholtz is here as well. The water department was a factor in that. We're going to call Gary forward to speak a little bit about that. But from the previous rating to this rating, Scott, what were some of the things, improvements that they saw in the fire department to make this happen?
Well, some of our improvements obviously were equipment. We've been working hard. We've got some new trucks, new equipment. They look at those things. They look at testing. They look at your pump testing, your aerial testing, your ground ladder testing, how we report those things. They look at our reporting to the state. We get 100% on that. I know Councilman Kissling helps me a lot with that area, but that's, all the things are looked at there. Every run we have, every run that's EMS, fire, any run we have, we do 200 and some reports a year to the state. They look at all those, and they look at our personnel. They look at the number of trucks we take to fires, the ladders, truck, the pumpers, our rescue. We have to take so many trucks to reach a certain gallon of water to be able to be pumped. They look at our personnel that show up. I mean, there's just a ton of different things they look at on the fire department side to get that.
And then from the water side, I know that was part of, this is the board that helps make those decisions on improvements to utilities, and that definitely made a difference as well.
Yes, definitely the water. I mean, you look at the 3 areas they look at. In all 3 areas, we had improvement this time. I mean, our communications did, the fire department did, the water department did. So we had improvements everywhere. And you look at the water department, they do flow testing. I think a project like 4th Street and everything that Gary and those guys did, they improved those flow ratings and those hydrants, and that all helps with this rating.
Well, I know that this is something that when Scott and Gary came to me to report this out, we were practicing social distancing and we're wearing masks, but I I could tell that Mr. Patberg had a pretty big smile on his face during that. This is quite an achievement by the department and by your personnel. So, from my standpoint, we congratulate you on this rating, and it is a long-term positive for our community, and not only now but for years to come. This will be
Absolutely. I was really, as the mayor said, I was extremely happy. It starts with our guys. It's it's everything. The department, how we handle everything. So they look at, there's places we can improve. Obviously, that's what they do this for. But our improvement from the previous to now is great, and I'm proud of what the guys, our department's done, and the hard work, and the water department's work, and the communications, everybody involved. This is a great accomplishment.
I know I'll allow council if there any comment or questions for the chief, and then we'll bring Gary up here in just a moment. So council, it's kind of yours for comment or question.
Hey, Scott, this is Jeff. No questions, but just a comment. Sometimes I think we don't notice how awesome our fire department is until the Herbs Fest parade. And you guys put a lot of work in throughout the entire year. I know several of the firemen really well, and I know what kind of efforts they put in and the inconveniences sometimes, and the commitment that you and your team make is just impresses me beyond belief. And on behalf of the council, I'd like to say thank you for the work that you're doing and keeping people safe. And also, the work that you do has this ripple effect on homeowners insurance prices. It's making for a better environment for our businesses to be here. And the city of Huntingburg is certainly grateful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, I have no questions, but thank you, Scott. You guys did a great job on that, and everybody involved. I just can't wait to see what my new home insurance rate's going to be doing soon. I have to make sure I call my agent.
Yeah, hopefully it makes a difference.
Yeah, I do too. Appreciate it.
Yes.
I'd like to comment that also helps us draw new business to town with our lower fire rating.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And again, Jose, I know I didn't want to leave any comments from you, Jose, on this.
Yes, what I can say is thanks for the hard work they do, and I know every day they work really hard. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. And again, Chief, we talked about this a lot of details, and it's just not only responding, but how you respond and how many people are there. The percentage of people that are showing up speaks to the dedication of all our members of our department, that it is something that they take a lot of pride in, but also it's there to protect the city. And I can't tell you how much, we appreciate the work that they do. And this is just a way to thank you and congratulate each and every member of the department for their contribution to make this happen.
Absolutely. Like I said before, I'm very proud of our department and all the guys on it. They're doing a great job.
Well, again, congratulations. We'll let Gary come up for his reports next, but we'll let him talk a little bit about the work that they did. So, Chief, congratulations.
Sure. Thank you.
So, Gary, you want to please come forward? Gary, go ahead.
Some of the things that we did to improve the water department. 25 years ago, whenever I got here, we had 5 red top hydrants. A red top hydrant is a hydrant that will free flow 500 gallon or less a minute. And over the years, we've replaced those 5 we've upgraded them to a green top hydrant. That's a hydrant that will give you more than 1,000 gallons a minute. And that was done by redirecting flows and upgrading water mains. In other words, replacing water mains. We've turned the vast majority of our orange top hydrants to green. An orange top hydrant is a hydrant that will give you 500 to 999 gallons a minute. And currently we have 13 orange top hydrants left. And through this project of 2020, we'll eliminate approximately half of those. So that means the vast majority of our 356 hydrants will be green. And in order to accomplish this, what we've done is redone our tie-ins at several intersections in Huntingburg, plus the new mains. I started counting mains the other day that we've replaced in the last 25 years, and we're gonna have to do some digging to find out how many we did before that. But from 25 years ago, we've replaced 70 blocks of water main, and that's taken 4 and 6 inch cast iron lines out and replacing them with 6 and 8 inch C900 CPVC mains, which is about a fifth of the water mains in all of Huntingburg. And then in addition to that, 5 years ago, we slip lined water mains from Geiger to Van Buren on 4th Street and Jackson from 8th to 10th. That increased the water flows on 4th Street by about 200 gallons a minute, and it dropped our residual pressure by about 2 pounds. Now, 2 pounds doesn't seem like a whole lot, but it's a whole lot when it comes to fire flow. And then on Jackson Street, we increased the fire flows by 600 gallons a minute and reduced our residual loss by 6 pounds. So that's pretty good. And then 4 years ago, we slip lined Main Street from 3rd Street to 5th Street, and that increased hydrants in all the areas associated with that, again, just slightly. And in the 2020 project, we'll add 12 more blocks of new water main to that total, and we will double the capacity of our filter plant. The ISO rating, your top scores are 4, and in several different areas, we scored 3.7. So we have an amazing water system, and I am truly privileged to be the one that gets to say I run that department. So that's how we got our scores on the ISO.
Questions for Gary or comment?
Would you say most of these all lines are over 100 years old that you're replacing?
Yes.
I would say so. And how long do you think these lines we're replacing will last in the future? Double that, maybe 200 more years?
In 20 years, I'd like to be around to see how many we replace. I would say in 20 years, we're going to be over a third, maybe close to a half, which will be amazing.
Yeah, that'd be great. Good job on it, Gary. Appreciate it.
Gary, this is Jeff. Hey, you know I'm a fan of you and the water department. Really, again, it's one of those things that unless it doesn't work, people take it for granted that it's there, and not a whole lot of attention ever gets called to the work that you and your guys do. But as it contributes to what Scott reported just a few moments ago, it really does take a team of people to make this all work. And I know you guys, you and your people put a lot of effort into and a lot of pride in the department, and we appreciate your work too. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, Gary's got the chair, so why don't we go ahead and proceed with his report to the council.
Is there any questions on the filter plant?
You received the report in your packet. Any questions on the filter plant report? None. Distribution?
Distribution?
How about just give us a brief on the project? How are things moving on the project?
The project's going extremely well. I know there's no pictures this month, but that's failure on my part, I guess. We have the first 2 blocks completely finished, other than going back and killing the old mains. They have started at 5th Street, and they're going to go north to the railroad track. So that's underway. The filter plant, we have the vast majority of the splitter box, which allows them to set that, and then they'll be able to work their way out of the filter plant and finish that up. They've got one of the basins poured that goes outside for the holding basin, and they're starting to backfill that. So I think the project's going extremely well so far. Any questions about anything?
Did the virus shutdown slow up any progress, or did they continue on to work out there?
The only thing that the virus has affected is, I think it's affected FARBEST a little bit, and But in order to make up for that production, they're running every other Saturday until everything gets back to normal.
Okay. And then what about the construction of the filter plant? Did that slow down at all during this time, or did they continue?
No, it did not.
Okay.
We figured out a way to work around it. They quit coming in through the filter plant. They're using one entrance and we're using another. So we're not intermingling at all.
Very well. Great.
Gary, on the meter replacement, I see less than 3%. I'm not disappointed with that, but what is that the same areas we've had problems with before, or is this?
No, that's better. We're getting better and better as time goes along, and that's not 3%. That's 0.3%.
Okay,
Another
that's the point then.
third of 1%. And
Okay,
for the last week, we've had 1 meter per day out of 1,750. So
that's great. Good job. Good job.
it's going well.
Any other questions for Gary about his report or the process? All right. Thank you, Gary. Energy Department, Mr. Rudipuller. That sign was for you.
Evening, council.
Hi.
We'll start with gas department. We installed 2 new services this month. Got 13 on file to be installed when ready. Then we had a gas crew monitor the ongoing water main project. It's been going good. Been good to work with. We replaced the gas service line on Jackson Street that was leaking, and it's found to have a couple illegal fittings in it. We actually had to take our vac machine. We had to back all the way to the house to replace the service because there was existing water lines and a sewer line there. So that took several days to do. Then I included a couple pictures. We replaced a leaking gas valve on Geiger Street. It's an old flange valve. As you can see in your packet, page 1 is where we removed the old main and the valve. We had to use stop offs on the 4-inch. We had a 2-inch main that we used to stop off. Picture 2 is a picture of the valve that we did replace. It's a bolt-on valve. They're not cold anymore, so we do have to replace it. It's just kind of shows you the work that goes into replacing one of these valves. It's not just digging it up, unbolting it, putting a new valve in. You can see in picture 3, that's our welding job that our welder does. And you can see it's entails quite a bit of time of doing that.
No.
Does anybody have any questions on gas?
Any questions on the gas report? Go ahead. Electric.
Electric. We installed 4 services this month, and we've been working on 2 services for OFS. There's a building they did. We had to put in service a pad mount transformer, and on the warehouse on Style Line Drive, we had to put a 3-phase setting there. So they just finished that up last week. Then they've been trimming some limbs. And we did have an oil sample taken, or yearly oil samples taken on our substation transformers. The one on the north sub showed a little higher reading on moisture content. We are going to retest probably in a couple of weeks. If it comes back high again, we may have to dehydrate that transformer. But we'll wait and see what the next test shows.
We did this in the past, didn't we?
Yeah.
I thought so.
As you can see in the report, I put a chart or a test report. You can see under the liquid test data where it has been tested. Back in 2017, we dehydrated it. It did show a high moisture content. They did that, retested it, come back good. It's showing a little more moisture this time again, so we're gonna keep an eye on that. It's like $1 million transformer, so we want to be careful and if we need to repair it, get it dehydrated.
Is there any idea how it gets in there?
They think it's coming from the insulation. This is parts per million. On what you see, it come back 36 parts per million. Back in 2017, it come back 37 parts per million.
Wow.
They say it's actually coming maybe from the insulation, the paper insulation in the transformer, and it slowly cooks out over time. I think the cutoff level is like 35 parts per million. Anything over 35, and then they declare it bad.
I see.
So, like I said, we're going to retest in a couple of weeks. And then Resna Power bought out MEM that did our testing. And they do our maintenance on our substations. I would like to get approval to renew this for the next 3 years. It usually goes in 3-year increments. So it goes from 2020 to 2023. As you can see, I got the charges on your agenda. And then I get a quote on the substation for the north sub. I got a quote for the central sub. They won't have to be tested until 2022 and 2023, but that will be the price that will be charged.
Again, John, this is a company that we've worked with in the past who knows our facilities and
Got records and seemed to do a good job. So it's just basically the same company, different name. It's just a renewal after 3 years.
any questions on the recommendation by the superintendent for the renewal of the contract with RISA Power? Any questions? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the renewal of the contract. A motion by Kisling,
Second.
second by Dubon. A vote, please.
Kisling,
Aye.
Towns,
All right.
McFerrin, Dubon,
Aye.
Ware,
Aye.
Rise, no nays.
Contract is approved.
One other item, last week, we opened bids for doing electric SCADA system. They've been reviewed. I've talked it over with the mayor. We would like to reject them bids and check into it some more before we move forward with anything else.
Both the bid that we did receive were inconsistent with the actual request. There were more portions of the request that were not met.
We didn't feel comfortable with it.
No, it was some of the costs were not clearly defined, and may have been additional costs that were not part of their bid. And John spoke with me about it, and we just felt that with this, we just need a better bid next time, and we can take some steps to continue towards improvements to the system.
I'm going to check into some more options.
So the recommendation from the superintendent is to reject the bid received on the SCADA system last week. So I need a motion to reject the bids received.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Ware,
I'll second it.
second by Bounds. The vote, please.
Kisling,
Aye.
Towns,
Aye.
McFerrin, Dubon,
Aye.
Ware,
Aye.
Rise, no nays.
Bids are hereby rejected.
Any questions on the record?
Any questions on the report? Nope.
Thank you, John.
Okay. Anything else, John?
Thank you. That should do it.
All right. Thank you, John. Next up, we have a consideration of an ordinance amending the 2020 salaries for a legal assistant, and Mr. Schneider is going to walk us through that ordinance.
Yes, I'm requesting that the council consider an amendment to the salary ordinance. For the past at least 25 years, the salary ordinance included a small stipend for the city attorney's clerical assistant. Currently, it's $116 a month. The way it's set up, that required her to be an employee of the city. And as a result, the city is paying employment taxes on that employee, both FICA and Medicare. That particular employee who's been receiving it for the past at least 25 years has retired. And this is an opportunity now perhaps to recast that stipend rather than as a salary to an employee, as merely a stipend to the legal department as an operating subsidy to assist in paying for postage and paper and copies and rent and utilities. That would be the same amount, $116.31 a month. So rather than being an employee paid to my employee, it would be paid as a stipend to help offset and underwrite some of the office expenses for the legal department.
Any questions about the intent of the change in the ordinance?
Need a motion?
So we would have before us ordinance number 2020-14, 2020-14, and ordinance amending ordinance number 2019-45, fixing salaries for the city of Huntingburg for the year 2020. Do I have a motion to introduce ordinance number 2020-14?
Make that motion.
Motion by Kissling. Second.
I'll second it.
Second by Ware. We have a vote for
Kissling,
Aye.
Bounds,
Aye.
Barron, Dubon,
Aye.
Ware.
Aye.
4 ayes, no nays.
let's give, I think Councilman McFerrin might be joining us can you hear us, Steve? Can you speak, please? We have you unmuted. Okay. Still having a little technical difficulty there. So it's 4-0 on the introduction. We can suspend the rules and consider the ordinance on the same evening it was introduced if there is consent to do so. We have a motion to suspend the rules on and consider this ordinance for approval this evening. Motion, please.
Make that
Motion
motion.
by Kissling,
I'm second.
second by Dubon. The vote, please.
Kissling,
Aye.
Bounds,
Aye.
Barron, Dubon,
Aye.
Ware.
Aye.
4 ayes, no nays.
There is approval to suspend the rules and we can consider ordinance 2020-14 on the same evening it was introduced. Ordinance 2020-14 is amended the ordinance 2019-45, fixing salaries for the city of Huntingburg for the year 2020. Do I have a motion to adopt? Motion by Kissling,
I'll second.
second by Ware. The vote, please.
Kissling,
Aye.
Bounds,
Aye.
Barron, Dubon,
Aye.
Ware.
Aye.
4 ayes, no nays.
Ordinance 2014 is hereby adopted. Anything else, Mr. Attorney?
That's all I have.
Mr. Dipple? This is an ordinance for transferring of funds.
Yeah,
That's the resolution.
from the edit fund to the revolving loan fund for the emergency loan program. $50,000 would be transferred from the edit to the revolving loan.
This was a fund that we had set up for that revolving loan fund. I want to report to you, Rachel Steckler, our Director of Community Development, gave me a report. We had $50,000 in revolving loan funds available. We pledged another $50,000 of this from Edit. This is the transfer we're speaking about. We had 14 applicants for those loans. 13 were approved. As one business did not meet the program requirements due to the location, they were just outside the city limits. So there were 13 loans approved. 10 loans have been closed, and we're following up with 3 other local businesses to close those loans for those loans. And Tom and Rachel have been working very hard and connecting with our merchants. Again, 10 loans have been closed, and I think 64,000 around
Right about that, yeah.
around $64,000 in these loans have been approved. Again, these are a 3-year loan. And again, we were considering a second round, but we're going to hold that for just a while. We said we were able to go ahead. I think we had intended to do 10 in the first round, but we did 13 here in the first round. So any questions on the loan program or the resolution? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve resolution number 2020-15, authorizing the transfer of edit funds to the Huntingburg revolving loan fund, an amount of $50,000. Do I have a motion for the resolution?
Motion made.
Motion by Bounds. Second.
On second.
Second by Dubon. Vote, please.
Kissling,
Aye.
Bounds,
Aye.
McFerrin, Dubon,
Aye.
Ware,
Aye.
4 ayes, no nays.
4 ayes, no nays. Resolution number 2020-15 is hereby approved. Anything else, Mr. Dipple?
No, I have nothing.
Any other items from the council? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion for adjournment. Motion made by Kissling, seconded by Ware. He got his hand up a little bit quicker, Tim.
Okay.
Motion by Kissling and second by Ware. Vote, please.
Kissling,
Aye.
Bounds,
Aye.
McFerrin, Dubon,
Aye.
Ware,
Aye.
4 ayes, no nays.